20 years ago, when Mumbai, then still known as Bombay, was rocked by serial bomb blasts for the first time, the choice of news sources used to be very limited. You either heard it on radio, read it in the papers, or you saw it read out on state-run Doordarshan. Visual imagery was limited to newspaper stills or some pre-censored clips on DD. But your best bet to see news was News Track, India's first and most definitive video news magazine. India Today Group's News Track video magazine was the only Indian private TV news producer who came onto the scene. And these visuals and reports that you will now see date back to 12th of March 1993.
Friday, March 12, 1:26 p.m. A few minutes before trading was to end at the Bombay Stock Exchange, a massive explosion ripped the 29-story building's basement parking area. The Bank of Baroda office above basement was blown to smithereens. The impact of the explosion was so strong that it even shattered window panes of the surrounding buildings. Seconds after the blast of the bomb, Dalal Street reverberated with the screams and cries of those trapped and injured. Panic-stricken survivors of the explosion, some injured, stampeded out of the building. More than 2,000 people were stranded in the building. Most unlike the lackadaisical attitude one is used to in emergencies, the fire brigade reached minutes after the explosion and started evacuating people. In a remarkable show of good Samaritanship, members of the public voluntarily took victims to the hospitals and donated blood in large numbers. The explosive device, placed in a car in the basement parking area of the stock exchange and activated by a timer device, claimed at least 70 lives and injured about 200 people.
मेरी वाइफ शाम को 6 बजे से आज तक अभी तक और रो रही है। वो बोलते हैं कि मेरा बेटा अभी आएगा। वो समझ ही नहीं सकते कि मेरा बेटा मर गया। All of a sudden that blast occurred and all the people started running here and there. I also ran backwards, and in the meantime I to hold my head in my hands, but I came to know that I was heavily bleeding.
All of a sudden there was a blast. I thought maybe there are some crackers bursting, but then some glass pieces and debris and all that started falling.
The terror was not over, it was just the beginning. In a span of 150 minutes, the city was shaken by 12 more blasts along its entire length, stretching from the BSc building in the south to Center Hotel at Santa Cruz Airport in the north.
The News Track video magazine used to come out every month as VHS cassettes, available all over the country. The Mumbai serial blasts coverage was carried in the April 1993 video magazine. In this age of instant TV, it is hard to imagine that 20 years ago, when there were no cell phone cameras and the digital era was still in the future, news track cameras and journalists were at the scene within 5 minutes of the first blast. And then there were 12 more.
Leaving behind more than 300 people dead, more than 1,500 injured, and a trail of gruesome destruction. At 1:36 p.m., a truck exploded in the grain trading area in Narsi Natta Street, destroying nearby buildings and vehicles. Barely 50 minutes later, a car bomb exploded in the parking lot of the Air India building, killing at least 20 people and injuring several others.
Then I saw all of a sudden blast. There was a car which exploded, and the blast, big blast, like balloon-shaped thing with red flames and all that. And immediately my daughter-in-law said, "Papa, it's bomb."
And tragedy has struck the family. I mean, the only sister of mine is no more existing. मेरी आंखों में वो जब धम करके एकदम पटाखा जैसा फूटा ना, तो उस वक्त मेरे को कुछ समझ भी नहीं आया. मैं बोला मैं तो आज मर जाता हूँ. क्या समझे? मैं समझा कि आज तो मैं मर ही जाऊंगा. मगर कुदरत का खेल देखो कितना अच्छा है. जब मेरे को धमाका करके उठा ना बम करके, तो मैं यहाँ से 10 फुट इतना जाके आगे गिरा.
A bomb in the Air India building blew out a 2-story deep crater.
बेसमेंट है गाड़ी का, सेकंड बेसमेंट में भी खड्डा पड़ गिर गया.
Within the next 15 minutes, the massacre resumed. A powerful car bomb went off at a bus stop opposite Century Bazaar shopping center in Worli. This was the worst. Over 100 people were immediately killed and more than 500 injured. Of those killed, 70 were passengers in the double-decker bus. The impact of the blast left 5 buses and their passengers completely charred. The bomb was so powerful that it formed a deep crater on the road, decimating 3 nearby apartment buildings.
हम लोग जो किचन में थे वो खाना खाने को बैठे थे ने, तो आवाज आया तो हम लोग दौड़ के आए तो एक रूम में लड़का पड़ा था, एक रूम में लड़की पड़ी थी जो दब गई थी.
तो सब बिल्डिंग नीचे गिर गए, हम उसके नीचे आ गए.
Even for hardened war veterans, the sight of dismembered bodies, so completely soaked in blood that they were unrecognizable, was difficult to take.
First time this has happened in Bombay, and now I do not think I'll be able to stay in peace in Bombay. I'm really very scared and really insecure. It was all of a sudden, and it was a loud blast, and all of a sudden the glasses kept on falling on us.
Bombay's date with terror was not over yet. 6 more bombs went off, 2:41 p.m. in a petrol pump adjacent to Shiv Sena headquarters at Dadar, 2:48 p.m. on the 3rd floor of the Center Hotel at Juhu, 3:05 p.m. in a scooter at Zaveri Bazaar, 3:16 p.m. in a car standing in the compound of Plaza Cinema, 3:50 p.m. in an 18th floor room at Sea Rock Hotel in Bandra, 3:55 p.m. the last one at the other Center Hotel at Santa Cruz Airport.
It was a nightmare. We were all in our houses. We never even thought that the next minute we will be without a house. We all had to rush onto the roads. Then I saw that the road was full of smoke. You know, there were all buses and dead bodies and so much debris everywhere.
Days after the 12th March serial blasts in Mumbai, there was another serial bomb scare in the city. But this time, the police were able to defuse several bombs before they caused any harm. Again, we dip into the News Track archives to show you the original and path-breaking news coverage from March 1993.
A cloud of fear gripped the city, with people calling the police control room claiming that they had seen suspicious-looking articles throughout the city. While most of the calls proved to be false alarms, the citizens' alertness did help the police prevent a repeat of the 12th of March disaster. The police were able to defuse a bomb in an abandoned scooter in Zaveri Bazaar.
You see, main precaution is to defuse the detonator, which is entangled with the pencil timer. We are diffusing that. We are dismantling detonator, and then we are proceeding further. Once we defuse this, then there won't be any this explosion.
Who had placed these bombs? What was their motive? These were the questions that haunted the country as a frantic manhunt was launched. Concerted police efforts provided the vital clues: registration and chassis numbers of the cars used in the bombing, an abandoned Maruti van loaded with arms and ammunition, and 2 scooters with explosives wired to the ignition.
12th of March 1993 was a Friday, and the first blast took place at around 1:30 in the afternoon. In these past 20 years, Mumbai has been attacked by terror many times, and we have all heard about the resilience of this city. Mumbaikars had given proof of that resilience even then in 1993. This is what we found in the News Track archives on how Mumbai got back to business after the first serial blasts.
In January, when the second wave of post-Ayodhya riots rocked Bombay, the city responded with a numbing mixture of amazement and trauma. But this time, resilience overcame trauma. Citizens came together as one to deal with the aftermath of the blasts. Chief Minister Sharad Pawar, who was reportedly reluctant to come back to the state, dispelled all doubts by his capable and decisive handling of the situation. In a determined attempt to demonstrate to the rest of the world that the country would ruthlessly pursue its economic activity, the shell-shocked Bombay Stock Exchange resumed its trading within 3 days.
The opening of market today has restored a lot of confidence as far as the general public is concerned, as far as the broker community is concerned. Once we are in action, everything was forgotten. Had we been inactive, the shock would have continued for another 15-20 days.
There was talk everywhere that at least 1 to 3 months the stock exchange will not start. But we accepted the challenge. Whatever their requirement, we fulfill in practically 24 hours.
Unlike his lethargic, switched-off predecessor, Sharad Pawar demonstrated that he meant business.
I will see in near future there is absolute normalcy, and we will restore the confidence of people of Bombay, and we will show to the whole world that you can see the same Bombay what was there prior to 6th of December.
International terrorism, West Asian style, has made its advent through the gateway of India. As Bombay was limping back to normalcy, another bomb was triggered off, this time in the crowded centre of another city, Calcutta. What these blasts have underlined is the fact that among the intelligence agencies, the right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing. The need for a total update and revamp, as propounded by the Home Ministry, is only too obvious.
Soon after the blasts of 12th of March 1993, Newstrack reporters had gone to many prominent Mumbaikars seeking their reaction on the very real issues and questions that the bombing threw up.
In Bombay a few days ago. Who it is, why, how, is a very big interrogation mark. Now, it doesn't mean that any neighboring country is at war with you, but clearly someone, some group, some has sent a message.
डाक लेबर बोर्ड की सिर्फ स्थिति है कि करीब 15 से 2000 के बीच वर्ग अभी भी नहीं आ पाए हैं।
इसमें मुसलमान वर्कर्स कितने?
हाँ, करीब मुसलमान वर्कर्स करीब 1000 लोग हैं।
When a community like the Muslims are feeling that they have become God's unchosen children, that people are shunning them because they're frightened that the goons might come around and then they, poor people from whatever community, would be affected. It's like leprosy was in the old days. They have become lepers, and I think it's very sad.
Are Muslims going to be treated as second-class citizens in Bombay?
No, I don't. I tell you, I agree. Right now the feeling is that because, really they have suffered a lot. But I'm also very optimistic in this way that I think the people of Bombay will not accept this, because majority of the people of Bombay are very cosmopolitan.
The myth of Bombay being a melting pot of communities, cultures and values has been blown, and Bombayites have cried for their beloved city. Is it time to offer a requiem for the city?
Suddenly one has to sit back and think whether one is an Indian any longer, and that psychological damage, I think, is much more than the loss of maybe some property.
I predict for a while there'll be this tremendous amount of ferment, anarchy, and then eventually, I suppose, military dictatorship.
Bombay will take a very, very long time to heal its wound that is inflicted on Bombay. But I have faith. I don't know, somehow I have faith in the people.
It reminds me of that couplet, "Magar ye katha gazab hai कि आदमी इंसान नहीं होता." This is the tragedy of our times, that human beings will not be human, and this is what has happened.
The cords binding Hindu-Muslim amity may have been stretched almost to breaking point in Bombay, but they will not break, predict the city's faithfuls. Even if the citizens of peace will it so, it may be a very long time indeed before people once again say, Salam Bombay.
More than 200 people lost their lives on 12th of March 1993. More than 1,000 were injured. 20 years later, there are many unresolved issues surrounding the Mumbai blasts of 1993, but the foremost amongst them has to be the continued absence of Dawood Ibrahim, the man who engineered the first serial bomb blasts of terror.